recently took 2 employees to court, and these are some of the lessons that I learned and I want to impart, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Number 1 is the costs. Just giving you an example. This is not what I spent. Like, for example, you were quoted like 200,000. Just be aware that you need 400,000 in your bank. Okay. So the reason is because of this. There are applications in the middle of nowhere that maybe not suggested by you, but you have to respond. And every time you respond, it's an application. So sometimes they might appeal. So the appeal is like a separate legal fees outside of what you already paid. You need to hire auditor to ascertain the amount. We were quoted maybe middle 5 figures. After you tabulate the amount already, you still need to go to court and say, hey, this is the amount suggested by the auditor. That's another cost. So all in, the first amount and the final amount that you will spend is uncertain. So be prepared to have. We didn't spend double of what we estimated, but it could very well. So if you think like, oh yeah, I have enough, I have 100,000 example, just know that you need 200. The second thing is about choosing your lawyer. We were very fortunate. So when I, had this case, I just asked random friends like, hey, suggest me some lawyers lah. So then I saw 3 lawyers and I chose Thomas Phillip. And I had no idea they were famous until I saw them representing Good Vibes Festival. I was like, wow, I didn't know. So I genuinely chose this lawyer because I met June. He was, he had such a fighting spirit. I was like, yes lah, I want this guy lah. Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away in the middle, and so he didn't get to represent us. Yeah, but choose a really good lawyer because it makes a big difference. In our case, we had 4 defendants, right? And defendant 1 was supposed to be the main character of the case, right? We had the most evidence against this person, and turned out that my lawyer managed to, turn things around and made defendant 1 into our witness. Of course, he apologized in court, and we received a settlement amount from this person. But because effectively we turned him into a witness, we had a stronger case against defendant 3 and 4. You really do not know, and until the end, whether this one is friend or foe. In our case, I was quite shocked, like, wow, how did we turn things around like that? That's why when you get a really good lawyer who thinks about your objectives and who thinks about what you want, right, they will think creatively and strategically to make things happen for you. And in our case, it really did. So thank you so much, Matthew, for making this happen. Third thing is to think about the motives, right? So a lot of my fellow founder friends were saying, like, your lawyers, of course, they want to drag on the case. The more you drag on, the more money they make, which is true. But of course, in our case, my lawyer is very, very busy. He has a lot of cases. He wants to end my case so that he can continue getting more other cases, right? But like some other, smaller firms may not be as busy, and they would want to keep you on retainer as long as possible. I'm just saying, consider that when choosing your lawyer, and consider their motives as well. Now, the time. I know I've mentioned this in the last video, that when the time dragged on for quite a fair bit, in our case it was special. Like, I believe Malaysian legal system to be much more efficient than this. Because of that, right, there was the public perception that was spiraling a bit out of control, which I couldn't do anything about, which was very sad. So when you think like, okay, you are the innocent, okay, I'm not saying that this is what is the court case, it was settled out of court, but if we thought, okay, that this is my disclaimer, okay, that we were the innocent party, we were the plaintiff of the case, I could, after I filed already, everything public, I can say what I want, I can, speak up for my company, but like, I couldn't. My lawyer was like, don't say anything. Okay, and that was like really, really tough for somebody like me. And if you notice my videos in the last 3.5 odd years, right? 3.5 years, you notice I didn't make much videos because I just couldn't say much. And like, but every time I go and meet other agencies, like, hey, I heard so much about SushiVid, like, I thought you guys not around anymore. And I'm like, oh, where did you get that from? Yeah, so there were things that were said about us that I couldn't address. I just have to keep quiet and just like, suck it in. So like, now I'm making a few more videos, right? And it's because it's like all this pent up energy inside that needs to come out. Just take note of that as well, like whether you can withstand that public perception or rumors going around, and tahan and not address is another issue lah. So consider that. To me, I felt like even though we ultimately got compensated and we ultimately got an apology and everything, the PR loss, the public perception for the last few years was very, very painful nonetheless. Yeah. So yeah, this is some of the key lessons I learned, and I hope it helps some of you with your consideration when choosing whether or not to go ahead with your legal case. Okay, again, this is no legal findings, okay? This is just my opinion, and it's not a statement of legal findings. Okay, bye.